During my production of my music magazine, I used my research and planning to discover what conventions are necessary in order to create a successful professional looking music magazine that achieves the main goal of entertaining my target audience, which is the indie rock music genre. I first of all used my research in order to find these conventions, and then discover which magazine's ideas I liked and wanted to use in my own magazine, in order to create a slick and consistent mise-en-scène which results in a unified house style. The first, and arguably one of the most important parts of my magazine, was the decision of my name and masthead. I began by deciding my name. I had a substantial amount of ideas for this name, and I eventually whistled it down to 10. After I got these 10, I then created a tally chart for me to hand out around class, and after this had been completed, it was rather obvious the name that I had to choose was Sync, as it was voted for the most by my peers. The name Sync has alternative meanings, which mostly all link to music, which is what I wanted, and also it is a rather universal name which links to several different genres, allowing me to widen my target audience slightly. I then started looking at various different famous magazine names from all different genres. Some of these names included NME, which is an abbreviation for New Musical Express. It is abbreviated in order to make the magazine more current and modern, but also in order to make the masthead look more like a logo than a title. This idea is also shared with Q magazine, who only use one letter in order to make their masthead and name become significant and noticeable as a logo of the magazine. Rolling Stones magazine is one title that I like a lot, and eventually end up using in terms of the outlining style of it. I like the idea of the contrasting colours of red and white, which is used in many magazine names because it is eye-catching and allows the name and masthead to stand out, which is important in order for it to attract their target audience. After this process, I then had to make a decision. I went onto the font website DeFont and tested my name with many different styles. I was unsure if I wanted to go for a more urban style or classic style, and after sampling many different styles, I finally decided to go for the hand-shop typography font, which is more classic and is rather similar to the style of the Rolling Stones magazine, which I have already shown a great admiration of. I then went on to my images. I first of all researched several images of famous members of my genre. Two people who stuck out were Jake Bugg and Bastille's lead singer Dan Smith. As you can see from these images, one thing that is apparent is the lack of facial expression they have throughout, as they are known for being rather simple characters who let their music do the talking, which is one thing the indie rock music genre is known for. Their hair is rather long and sometimes messy, and the clothes they wear could be seen as rather retro or vintage, with things like patterned collared shirts, basic grey jumpers and leather jackets, with more often than not a pair of basic skinny jeans. I decided to use this as inspiration for my model when taking my images. I chose to use a model with a similar looking face to Jake Bugg and rather messy hair, and asked him to put on a rather mundane facial expression when taking the pictures. I then got him to wear a patterned shirt and a grey jumper. This look is used throughout all my images and pages. I also used other magazines and their models in order to get a feel for what they are looking for, but also if they use props. Props are not commonly used unless they link very specifically to the title, the extract or the artist, but however they can be incredibly effective. I decided to give my model a bag which allowed him to yet again link to my target audience, as the casual rucksack is commonly associated to people who listen to this style of music. I then went on to the layout of my front cover. I first looked at several different magazines in order to decide a few key aspects. The first was where to position the image. In the example you can see the image is left orientated, leaving room in the right hand side for the text, and then vice versa with these right orientated images. I was personally a fan of the centre orientated images, allowing you to insert text both sides of the image, which is what I eventually went for. I then had to decide on where to put the masthead in terms of size and placing. One big problem I had was whether or not to put the masthead over or underneath the image. I decided to eventually go for underneath, as it allowed me to highlight the image by it being attached to the masthead, but also overpowering it in some way. The text is fairly straightforward after deciding on my colour scheme of gold and white, which I got from this anniversary copy of NME, which caught my eye. The last design aspect was the insertion of the competition barcode, which I added just to give the front cover more of a professional touch or edge. I then moved on to my contents page. Contents page layout and style is crucial in order to create a unified house style. I started by looking at how many images are placed on different magazines' contents pages and the layout of the contents page. NME only has one main image and then a small image of the front cover in an attempt to plug their subscription. I consequently used this subscription idea in my own work. Kerrang uses a larger amount of images of varying sizes in order to make the contents page slightly less text heavy without losing any necessary information. Rolling Stones has an incredibly basic contents page with just one very large standout image and not as much content either, and although I was a fan of a large standout image which emphasises the main character on the front of the magazine, I did not like the fact that they sacrificed content and information in order to insert this image. I decided to use 4 images on my work, one of these being the subscription plug, and place them all carefully in order for me to insert the necessary content information and also insert a signature styled content heading. My final piece of work was my double page spread. I first of all had to make the decision of how many DPS articles I wanted to do. I first looked at several magazine articles and it became apparent from the very beginning that the idea of having a title DPS page and then a more text heavy DPS page was the most successful way, and so this is what I did. I was very impressed by the DPS articles that included the dominating picture taking up one side of the page, with an extract title and information on the other side. I then decided to do this with my second DPS. And with my first DPS page, I decided to use the idea of having an image that dominates the whole page and acts as a background with a small introduction written on it. This idea that I eventually went for was based on a large amount of research into double page spread articles, and this research made my decisions rather easy to make, as it allowed me to realise the common pattern that was appearing due to magazine success. Thank you for watching my evaluation question 1 answer. I hope you enjoyed it.